Assalamu alaikum, a very warm welcome and good morning. Our chief guest is still awaited, and so are some of our speakers, but I will take this opportunity to give you an overview as to why we are here and what is Davos all about. I know most of you are aware of the fact that World Economic Forum is held at Davos, where the policymakers of the world descend to decide upon the themes of the years to come. And also a lot of terms that you hear, whether it is climate change, whether it is geopolitics, whether it is changing economic dynamics or the dwindling trust deficit in the world, those terms are coined at Davos. There's one man who's doing something very quietly at Davos for Pakistan, and then some of us, including myself, suggested that perhaps we should tell people here in Pakistan what is being done there for 2 decades almost. So that lone warrior or flag bearer for Pakistan at Davos is Mr. Ikram Sehgal. Why am I here? Yeah, a hand for that. There used to be just the Pakistan breakfast. Then in 2018, we started off with the Pakistan Pavilion. And in Pakistan Pavilion, we created a space to showcase Pakistan and invite people who were visiting Davos from all other countries to give them at least a thumbnail of what good was happening in Pakistan. Because largely, the images that go out of Pakistan are not very pretty. And they have been very successful. The reason Ikram Sehgal Saab has allowed me to have this conversation with you today is that I've been a part of happenings in Davos for 4 years. So I went in 2018, 2019, 2022, 2023. And of course, the 2025 Davos is to happen in January. This is largely a private sector initiative, but carrying on a pavilion and the breakfast all by himself is not an easy enterprise. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of investment. So initially we had Martin Dow supporting us, and then this senior management or the owner, Mr. Javed Akai, passed away, and subsequently Martin Dow has not continued to support this event anymore. We all thought that it might be difficult to carry it on from then on, but interestingly and to be fair to Ikram Sehgal, he never stopped it. So we continued with the pavilion and we continued with the breakfast also. The Pakistan breakfast is one of the most well-attended events at Davos. It's a house full. There is a lot of media here, and we'll just show you a video of the event where you will see that it is attended by the who's who of Pakistan, but also probably all the prime ministers. So we've had Kakan Abbasi there, we've had Imran Khan there, we have had Bilawal Bhutto there, who wasn't a prime minister, wasn't even a foreign minister then, but people said that at Davos, Bilawal Bhutto Saab was launched once again. And there's a whole list of people who've been to Davos, and Ikram Sehgal Saab has allowed these amazing people to have given them a forum to project Pakistan. Why is this so critically important? I think it's critically important for those of you who've been there, or those of you who would like to go there and become a part of this very wonderful exercise, which is an experience in itself. It's not just that you become a part of Davos and you promote Pakistan, but it's also what you get to see about how this world is run and what is theme building all about and what kind of discussions are taking place. And the people that you've only read about or seen on videos are there giving sessions. And those sessions also are largely free because I've attended a lot of them. So this is an opportunity to be there. And Ikram Sehgal Saab, in fact, I had requested Ikram Sehgal Saab that we should have a road show. So we did the same exercise in Karachi. And now here we are in Islamabad. Dr. Faisal Mushtaq has just joined us. Dr. Faisal Mushtaq, would you please join us here? Thank you so much. So, just taking you back to what this was all about. This is something I'm going to quote. How did it start? Why did it start? Why is it so critically important that more people become a part of it? And I'm going to quote something. Pakistan should be projected somehow, and Pavilion is an experiment in that direction. Nationals from various countries and heads of some companies are coming to see what Pakistan offers to the world. These are the words of Mr. Ikram Sehgal, Chairman Pathfinder Group, founder of both the Pavilion and the Breakfast. And I'll tell you, there are some other entities also that are there, but they project their own companies. And which is very good, but largely, I think Ikram Sehgal Saab works for projecting Pakistan. And it is time that more people, especially from the private sector, come in and join him. Because there are themes that have been discussed there which are amazing. It was fighting with the pandemic, it was climate, it was equity for gender, it was gender projection in Pakistan, the misperception about women in Pakistan. I've had women, men and people from across nationalities in Davos coming up to me and asking, "Are you really from Pakistan?" And I said, "Yes, we are really from Pakistan." So banking inclusivity are also themes. So we flew some top-notch bankers from Pakistan. They joined us there and they projected, and that is one of the biggest projects and a groundbreaking thing that Pakistan has done. We're also grateful, for example, I'm extremely grateful to Ikram Sehgal Saab for making Karachi Council for Foreign Relations a part of this construct, because I think it is the only think tank in Pakistan represented at Davos. And we've been holding sessions at the Pavilion under the banner of Karachi Council for Foreign Relations. I have been conducting sessions at Davos for Karachi Council for Foreign Relations. Once again, an entity which is now globally recognized because we could take it to Davos. And it's not about KCFR, it is any entity that chooses to partner with us and get showcased at Davos is opening doors for you. This year's theme is education. And we're looking forward, and I have spent 30 years in that sector. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who understand how things function in Pakistan, private education system is collapsing. At the first tier, at the second tier, and the tertiary level. Universities are without funding, labs are without funding, so sciences are being taught without students being given a chance to experiment. Tech is being taught without computers. So I think the only sector that can save Pakistan is the private sector. And where they need to invest and showcase themselves and become permanent and important and relevant is the people who are doing fabulous work in the private sector, in education in Pakistan. And right now, instead of being encouraged and supported, they are sometimes actually strangulated. And that is something that needs to change. The presence at Davos allows you to do just that. Because in Pakistan, we have a problem. We will only get recognized when others will recognize us, when the Western world will recognize us. So that was one thing that I wanted to speak to you about. More importantly, I also want to tell you that the Sindh government has supported this initiative now. They've supported KCFR, and we're taking the Sindh Investment Board on board, and they will also be represented at Davos. So in Sindh and in elsewhere, this is a good time to become a member of KCFR. This is a good time to become a part of what happens at Davos. We're going to just share a video with you to give you a fair idea what it's like to be a part of this construct. Where does it take you? And I'm going to end on just a very interesting note. So we had Hakan Abbasi as a speaker at Davos, the breakfast. And while we always had a Q&A session, for example, Bilawal had a fantastic Q&A session there, and he was actually hailed as a statesman. It was at Davos that sort of groundbreaking launch of Mr. Bilawal Bhutto happened. So Mr. Hakan Abbasi, coming back to what I was saying, was asked, why doesn't the government do something about it, you know? Why just the private sector? Because, by the way, other countries are, the private sector is there, but it is heavily supported by the governments. Indonesia has a fabulous Indonesian night. If you remember, if those of you have been there, the entire street is dominated by India. 27 states from India are represented on that one street. There is the Tata stall where we all have tea, but they also project India. So it's literally you're surrounded, and if you're an India-centric country, so as we are, those are the new fronts that we need to break, and Davos is a fantastic place to do it. But coming back to what I wanted to say, so this question was asked to Hakan Abbasi, government kyun nahi kuch karti na? And he said, "Achha hai ki nahi karti." It's happening the way it's happening because the private sector is doing it. I've seen this 4 times firsthand, and I know the kind of effort it requires to pull it off. We need more of you to come forward and support Davos, support Pakistan, support the Pakistan Pavilion. I think we should have a Sindh Pavilion there. We should have a KPK Pavilion, a Balochistan Pavilion, a Punjab Pavilion. We have so much to showcase, and our private sector has so much to offer. It's time we put our money where our mouth is. Thank you so much. I will now invite you to watch a movie.
Pakistan is an extremely investor-friendly country now. We have taken measures. We have introduced investor-friendly environment into Pakistan.
Thank you, Ikram, and let me also thank all the organizers, the Global Agenda and the Pathfinder Group, Mr. Ikram Sehgal. The way we look at Pakistan going forward is a moderate, vibrant Islamic country located at this very important part of the world.
Ikram Sehgal, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure for me to be here for the second time. Profitability in Pakistan is very high. I know about 600 to 700 companies in Pakistan, each one of them making a profit of between 20 and 50%, some even making more than 50%.
I would like to thank our dear friend and neighbor Ikram Sehgal for hosting this traditional breakfast. Pakistan for us is a country with which we have worked for over 2 decades now.
Thank you, Ikram, for arranging once again a really eminent gathering of Davos attendees.
Let me express my gratitude to Ikram Sehgal, my friend, for arranging this breakfast. This is the 3rd time I am addressing a gathering here at such a breakfast get-together. So thank you very much, Ikram.
Mr. Ikram Sehgal, I'm really grateful to our host who has provided me this opportunity. There are a lot of people that discuss about Pakistan, but they forget about this, that Pakistan is a very successful state.
I'd like to give that over to you, Imran, for you to start. I don't think I have much to add to Sushan other than to say my childhood hero is here.
Ikram, thank you very much. Because this is the first time I've been here. I've heard a lot about the World Economic Forum, and this is my first opportunity to meet such varied people from different backgrounds. Pakistan is also located next to India, one of the biggest emerging markets, biggest markets in the world, and China. So it is ideally located from that point of view. Ikram, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to speak to you about this extremely exciting time in Pakistan. The level of political awareness in Pakistan is unprecedented. Ikram, thank you very much for making me do this hat trick. 50% of the population in Pakistan is under the age of 25. So if we invest in them, this is our biggest resource.
Pakistan is very strategically located. It can be a bridgehead for trade, commerce, for transportation, for energy sources.
Ikram, thank you for inviting me. Ikram is a great long-term friend. Ikram's a very good helicopter pilot, and he flew the helicopters in the Army. So Ikram comes to visit, and I said, well, I'll surprise him. And so we picked him up at DFW Airport. I put him right into the helicopter in the front seat. I said, okay, good luck. And after 40 years, Ikram took off and flew very well. I was terribly impressed. He has not lost his touch at all for being a good helicopter pilot.
And I think there is a tremendous opportunity over here for the government to focus on the youth in terms of further job creation, in terms of education, both primary, secondary, but then also in terms of higher education. And I think Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's government has done a great job in sort of advancing that.
Let me, on behalf of my delegation and on my own behalf, express my gratitude to the Pathfinder Group and Mr. Ikram Sehgal for hosting this important event. Pakistan is home to the 6th largest population in the world with 180 million people. It is also the 26th largest economy by purchasing power parity.
We are moving towards the goal of better recovery in the years ahead. This is a great event for us, great event for Pakistan, and certainly, at the World Economic Forum, it's considered a marquee event because of what the General has done.
I'm really grateful, and I'd also like to thank Mr. Ikram Sehgal and his entire team and his family for giving me this opportunity to come here to Davos and especially this breakfast. Pakistan is a very dynamic country. It can work under adverse conditions. It has a vibrant youth and a very capable youth, and has, I think, all what is required for progress. And I think Pakistan has done enough in this fight against terrorism. We have achieved a lot, and I think we have contributed a lot towards global peace. And our neighborhood is becoming safe. We hope that things would improve in Afghanistan and the situation on our western borders would improve.
Prime Minister Abbasi is the true definition of a public servant of Pakistan. He has spent his entire career serving Pakistan.
It's a privilege to be here, and I'm grateful to the Pathfinder Group and Mr. Ikram Sehgal for getting us all together. Pakistan continues to solve its problems. The world also appreciates that it's a large country, it's a large market.
It's an amazing relationship, an amazing partnership that we have. And Ikram, I think you've been driving this story for the World Economic Forum in Pakistan, I understand, over 25 years.
I think there is a wonderful story that is happening in the province that probably gets the least press, and I think there's a wonderful story to be told over there, not just from a historical, geographical perspective, not just CPEC, but I think there is a wonderful transformational movement going there, and the Chief Minister is very much part of it, so thank you for being here.
Thank you once again, Sehgal Sahab, for giving me the opportunity and to be among the crowd over here. We have to keep that smile for Pakistan, and we are quite optimistic, there's a lot of opportunity for our business community.
First of all, let me thank the Prime Minister for being here for the 4th time, thrice in the opposition, and now in his own right as Prime Minister.
I'd like to give special thanks to the Pathfinder Group for hosting this event.
There's beautiful marine blue water, pink sands of the sort that people spend thousands of dollars to go to European resorts and resorts in the Caribbean, and we have it all.
First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Ikram Sehgal. He is instrumental in getting me here. This country has more potential than any other country.
I think the idea is Pakistan is at a crossroads right now. It's at a precipice. It is a country that is screaming for investment, infrastructure, energy.
It is a pleasure to be here at Davos, and particularly at this Pathfinder breakfast. I've had the opportunity to visit once before. Pakistan has the potential to be a beacon of growth, not only for its own citizens, but to unlock untapped potential, economic potential in our region.
We got 70% of natural gas of Pakistan, which was depleting. We're currently importing gas, but the potential is there. There are more reserves of light gas in there, which can be utilized.
The minister has been tireless in her efforts from going from forum to forum, from going to country, to raise not just awareness, but real funds for Pakistan.
Pay a small debt of gratitude to the Sehgal Group family and the Pathfinder Group, friends of Pathfinder. We still have the largest man-made irrigation system in the world intact, but that's in the plains of the Punjab. There's hope wherever there's darkness. That is human nature. We innovate, we put our shoulders to the wheel, and we cannot give up.
The Pakistan Pavilion is going to be celebrating this year its 20th anniversary at the World Economic Forum.
It's been a long time that we have been hosts of Ikram and his Pathfinder group, and we have always enjoyed his hospitality very much.
Ikram, before you have been a partner of the World Economic Forum for over 30 years. So you've been coming here for over 30 years. I'm sure you've seen a lot of change, but I really thank you so much for your engagement over the years. And just to say that the specific thing that you're doing here, it's called Asan Mobile Account. It's been tremendously successful. We're very happy that you're part of that initiative and you're helping us make a difference in Pakistan and in the world.
It's a privilege to host you, because it's a privilege to host not just you, but members of your government at a forum like this, so that you can tell the Pakistan story effectively, so that people understand why we remain a great place to invest.
Ikram Sahib has been very generous to me in personal capacity, has always introduced me to different forums, and I've always benefited from his advices and suggestions. So thank you so much, sir. Pakistan is a great country. Why? It has a population of 240 million people at its backyard. The whole of Central Asia lies there, which is landlocked. And of course, it is looking to have connectivity through Pakistan.
We're very proud to have VRG and the Pathfinder Group part of this this great coalition, and I would like to commend you on reaching 10 million bank accounts open through the Azan Mobile scheme. We've participated, collaborated quite a bit.
I said Pakistan is because the Pakistan Army is. The Pakistan Army is because the Chief of Army Staff is. The Chief of Army Staff, I may like him, I may dislike him. I may like his views, I may dislike his views. But he is the Chief of Army Staff. We cannot afford to say or do anything that denigrates his position. We have the finest working manpower in the world. We need to actually get the best out of them. And the best out of them is the way that we can, share our experiences, our comforts, our wealth, whatever, in whatever way you want. I think one of the ways is that you've traveled here a couple of times with me. Some of these people have never traveled abroad. And they come to Switzerland, to Davos. For them it's highlight. And let me tell you what my turnover rate is among them. 0. None of them leave, right? And they've been offered jobs twice or 3 times the price, right? And they have refused. They said, we looked after here. And I think that is the legacy I want to pass on to my son.
2008, and we are looking forward to having a fabulous Pakistan Pavilion and Pakistan Breakfast 2025. I think that's critically important. But what came forward from the video is that this forum is apolitical. Each and every political party is represented. When they represent Pakistan, they are represented at Davos. We invite them, and they have graciously agreed to be there. Imran Khan saw 4 times, 3 times as in the opposition, and once as a prime minister. The prime ministers have agreed to be there. The government has been less forthcoming. And that's unfortunate. Even the Pakistan government's presence at Davos, it takes them forever to come to the Pakistan Pavilion. It takes them forever to come to the Pakistan Breakfast. Although Pakistan Breakfast is a house full, we have requests coming from all over the place, and we have to decline some of them because of lack of space. It is widely covered by the media. The MD of World Economic Forum always takes out time to be there. Despite that, somehow, our governments are not as forthcoming. Of course, the prime ministers and the people who are our guests grace the occasion, but that has been a pain point. I don't even know if Ikram Sehgal Sahab is happy about me saying so, but that is a fact. I've witnessed it myself. Ladies and gentlemen, another very huge support in our sort of partners there are association with the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. You saw the representation in the video. Also, I am now going to request Farhat Ali Saab, who's the former president of Swiss Business Council, to come and say a few words.
Ikram Sehgal Saab, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. In the next few minutes at my disposal, I would be speaking on Switzerland and Pakistan business opportunities and World Economic Forum engagement. Much good has already been rightly said on the World Economic Forum meeting at Davos. I would like to add a bit to it. I had the opportunity of participating in the World Economic Forum event at Davos multiple times. Through the common platform of Swiss Business Council of Pakistan and Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce of Switzerland. Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce has been regularly cooperating with Pathfinder Group for their event at Davos. Attending sessions on complex global issues blended with casual but meaningful meetings with prominent global leaders had always been a profound experience, which otherwise at such a level and in so short of time was not possible. The signature breakfast event organized by the Pathfinder Group at Davos is viewed by many of us as Pakistan's branding and identification at Davos, and perhaps the only one. This brave group, at its own resources, has been carrying the Pakistan flag at Davos for over 2 decades. I must say with disappointment that the excellent platform provided by the Pathfinder Group at Davos for global outreach is not being leveraged by the government of Pakistan nor by the business groups of Pakistan. Government can gain by improving the country's perception, and the business groups can use this platform to grow global, like many emerging markets like ours have accomplished through one of its kind forums at Davos. It is a forum like Davos which provides a rare opportunity to build up country perception, enhance its visibility, and influence in global discussion, allowing the country to showcase its economic potential and strategic importance by networking with potential investors, thought leaders, and policy makers, which can lead to beneficial collaborations. Same hold goods for our business group who have been left much behind in their global outreach when compared with their peers in the emerging markets, whose footprints at Davos is exemplary, which is reflected in their influence in global market. Moving on to Switzerland and Pakistan business opportunities, I would like to showcase the business model the two countries are pursuing to develop trade and investment among them. This model is a pinnacle of business relation between the two countries. I am sure the participant would find it interesting. Under this business model, the entire business chain of trade and investment between the two countries is managed by the private sector at both ends, which includes the role of business development, facilitation, and implementation, overriding all bureaucratic hurdles, and this makes all the difference. The experience over the years has been profound. The process works faster and efficiently with tangible results of ground in a very short period of time. This initiative is governed by an agreement between the Swiss Business Council of Pakistan and Swiss Global Enterprises of Switzerland with defined responsibilities of the two partners. Assalamu alaikum. The Council serves the business interests of the Swiss companies in Pakistan and promotes Swiss trade and investment between the two countries. It works in partnership with Swiss Global Enterprises and Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce of Switzerland. Whereas the Swiss Global Enterprises headquarters in Zurich is an entity similar to the Development Authority of Pakistan, with the difference that SG is in the private sector. Today, Swiss Global Enterprise is the official Swiss organization for export and investment promotion. As a private consulting and platform organization commissioned by the Confederation and the cantons of Switzerland, with around 200 employees in over 20 countries and in more than 3,000 partners worldwide. It supports over 5,500 businesses, mostly small and medium enterprises, in Switzerland and around 130 countries with their international business development partners like Swiss Business Council of Pakistan. Under the agreement, the role of the Swiss Global Enterprise is to evaluate the needs of its member companies who are interested in global outreach for their businesses. It links such companies with Swiss Business Council under a well-defined mandate worked out between the Swiss Business Council and Swiss Global Enterprises. Whereas Swiss Business Council role is to mobilize and manage the footprints of assigned companies in Pakistan through the joint venture in investment and trade or technology transfer with the partnering company of Pakistan. I may add that to serve the above said cause, the Swiss Business Council, with the support of its Swiss partners, pursue a consistent policy to showcase the positivity of Pakistan in Switzerland, leading to business investments between the two countries. For the purpose, one of the series of roadshow was organized by Swiss Business Council and its Swiss partners last month in Zurich, Geneva, and Bern, attended by Swiss companies keen to develop business and investment alliances in Pakistan. We are hopeful that this initiative would lead to enhancing Swiss footprints in Pakistan. I may inform here about the paradigm shift in the approach of the Swiss government towards foreign trade and investment. Earlier, the export trade of Switzerland was facilitated and prompted by the Economic Affairs Division of the Swiss government. It was subsequently analyzed that this function can be better served by the private sector in line with global trends and fast-changing business dynamics. Today, Switzerland Global Enterprises is the official Swiss organization for export and trade. We are happy to say that Swiss-Pakistan business is on the right track. It is focused, well optimized, and well managed both in Pakistan and Switzerland. Above all, the said business arrangement had set a great example of business to business working between the two countries, overriding bureaucratic controls at both ends. On this positive note, Your Excellency, I had my presentation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome our chief guest for today, Caretaker Prime Minister, His Excellency Anwarul Kakar Sahab. And now, let's hear from people who've been there, who've experienced Davos firsthand. I'm, of course, one, and I've been talking to you about it. But now I'm going to invite Dr. Faisal Mushtaq, Tamka Imtiaz, Chairman and CEO of the Roots Millennium Group, also the President of MITE, Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship in Sindh, a unique university that has a global wing and a national wing. We're doing some great work there. Please come down to Karachi and visit that university because I head it. And now, Mr. Faisal Mushtaq.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and very good morning. Your Excellency, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Senator Anwarul Kakar Sahab, the very Honorable Chairman Pathfinder Group, Ikram Sehgal Sahab, and the founder and the Chairman of Karachi Council of Foreign Relations, Ikram Sehgal Sahab, Professor Dr. Huma Bakai, the Rector of the Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship, Ambassador Masood Khan Sahab, Pakistan's most distinguished diplomat who has served in United Nations and China and United States and is the former president of Azad Kashmir. And now we are pleased to welcome him to higher education. Distinguished Admiral, General Officers, distinguished diplomats, intellectuals, progressive thinkers, and friends of KCFR and the Pathfinder Group, a very good morning. And I'm humbled by Mr. Sehgal for giving me this opportunity and the stage and the rostrum. I feel humbled in presence of such distinguished intelligentsia and illuminati. I have been given this opportunity. But with your permission, Prime Minister, I must say that considering that the theme for Davos next year is education, I've always said that 250 million people living in Pakistan, when they are born, they are not born as citizens, they are born as subjects. Literacy and education transforms subjects into citizenry. So if nations need to move forward and to stand tall among the global committee of nations, then education, literacy, human development, and social impact should be at the heart of the work that we do. So this clearly brings that emphasis on education as a thematic area for the World Economic Forum for next year. And I've always said, and I'll say it again in presence of the distinguished chairman, Mr. Ikram Sehgal, that there are people, and then there is a planet, and then there is a motive called profit. But what good is the profit if it does not profit the society? Ikram Sehgal Sahab is one individual who has created a shadow system of giving back to Pakistan. And that is that he has built partnerships for prosperity for Pakistan in his individual capacity. If he would have had a foreign office, a shadow foreign office, then I would say that he has been singly the foreign minister of Pakistan and the foreign secretary and the chief of protocol, because when I grew up, my generation, we grew up reading about Sir Ikram Sehgal. We grew up seeing him on television. I had no access and presence to him We only used to see him with world leaders. And today I stand tall because 70% of your country's population is under the age of 30. And that is where his always focus and attention has been, that the younger generation, they need to take the country forward. I've had the opportunity to attend both the Summer Davos in Dalian in 2013, and then later in 2020, I attended the Davos Forum as a member of the contingent with the chairman, Mr. Ikram Sehgal. I was part of the Pakistan Pavilion, and I would rightly endorse Professor Dr. Huma Bakai that we felt in a minority. But however, whoever we are, we reflected and represented Pakistan in a way which has not been done ever before. Clearly, the prime ministers and the heads of states have always been there, but more G2G support, more B2B support, and the most important thing in 21st century is private sector-led inclusive growth. If the private sector will not be able to galvanize the momentum created by the Davos community here in Pakistan, then I think they're not doing justice to the country which serves their business interest as well. But here the motivation and the nucleus has always been the chairman Ikram Sehgal, and who has gone into every detail, and he's been a source of inspiration. Though he's a retired military officer, aviator, but I would say, sir, you are all arms officer. You put the infantry, artillery, armor, you put everything together. And usually in the war games, they say, in an event of a war, the first casualty is the war plan. But working with you, there's always a contingency war plan. And then there is a plan C. I mean, the attention to detail, Chairman Ikram Sehgal, he takes, and giving a person like me this opportunity, it is testament and commitment to his own values and vision for inspiring and for bringing along the younger generation. His inspiring son, Mr. Zarar Sehgal, who is based in the United States, is equally committed to Pakistan. And I've always said that you can take a Pakistani out of Pakistan, but you can never take that Pakistan out of the Pakistani. So your family is one such example of national service, commitment, passion. You are a champion, sir, and I would likely like to take this opportunity that we will represent our group together on the Pakistan Pavilion under your auspicious leadership, and Ambassador Masood Khan and Professor Dr. Bakai and myself, we will surely take the advantage of this invitation. And I shall encourage all people from different walks of life, public, policy, private, diplomatic, social network, that building these partnerships is critical because you cannot build what you call it, a reflective and a representative society and a country without building those partnerships. So diplomacy does the first line of defense for building those relationships, but individuals and corporates and semi-government organizations and provinces, I think we all need to rise together to help support this. On behalf of the teaching and learning community of our education group, sir, we have benefited immensely from your patronage and from your community initiative, and recently one such initiative of Provendicia Books Foundation, where the students of Pakistan have gathered their used books and they are donating it for a cause which is now touching the lives of the young people around the world, which are in need of books much more than us. That initiative was led by Ikram Sehgal Saab's granddaughter, and Amani is her name, and we are very happy to be part of that. And to conclude, I've always said that the story of Pakistan has titles, the story of Pakistan has chapters, and the story of Pakistan has pages. History always writes, government should always tell, but the story only gets sold when people, they buy the story. I thank you all very much.
That's the first pledge that we've received so far. Thank you, Dr. Faisal Mushtaq. amazing, amazing talk. And of course, the commitment means a lot. I am a small part of it. I really feel very proud that we are doing it. I'd also like to tell you that I have been associated with Dr. Faisal Mushtaq for 3 years now. And we definitely need more Ikram Sehgals. Faisal is one in the making. And having said that, I am going to now request for a small clip of our former Prime Minister, Mr. Anwarul Haq Kakar, to be run, and then we'll request our chief guest to speak to the audience.
For over 30 years. So you count. It's been tremendously successful. We're very happy that you're part of that initiative and you're helping us make a difference in Pakistan and in the world.
It's a privilege to host you, because it's a privilege to host not just you, but members of your government at a forum like this, so that you can tell the Pakistan story effectively, so that people understand why we remain a great place to invest.
Ikram Sahib has been very generous to me in personal capacity, has always introduced me to different forums, and I've always benefited from his advices and suggestions. So thank you so much, sir. Pakistan is a great country. Why? It has a population of 240 million people at its backyard. The whole of Central Asia lies there, which is landlocked. And of course, it is looking to have connectivity through Pakistan.
We're very proud to have VRG and the Pathfinder Group part of this great coalition, and I would like to commend you on reaching 10 million bank accounts open through the Azan mobile scheme. We've participated, collaborated quite a bit.
I said Pakistan is because the Pakistan Army is. The Pakistan Army is because the Chief of Army Staff is. The Chief of Army Staff, I may like him, I may dislike him. I may like his views, I may dislike his views. But he is the Chief of Army Staff. We cannot afford to say or do anything that denigrates his position. We are the finest working manpower in the world. We need to actually get the best out of them. And the best out of them is the way that we can, share our experiences, our comforts, our wealth, whatever, in whatever way you want. I think one of the ways is that you've traveled here a couple of times with me. Some of these people have never traveled abroad. And they come to Switzerland, to Davos. For them it's highlight. And let me tell you, what my turnover rate is among them. 0. None of them leave, right? And they've been offered jobs twice or 3 times the price, right? And they have refused. They said, we looked after here. And I think that is the legacy I want to pass on to my son.
Slightly off the trajectory and narrate something to you. So, some months ago in Karachi, we held Engage, an event to launch MITE, the Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship. And naturally, I wanted Ikram Sehgal Sahab to grace the occasion. So my team is calling his office and my team is trying to get him on board. And they keep telling me there is a wedding in Ikram Sehgal's family. And I'm like, who isn't getting married in Ikram Sehgal's family that I don't know? And then I call up Ikram Sehgal Sahab and he said, Huma, 2 of my employees are getting married and I'm hosting it in Islamabad. And the hosting of that wedding happened in Serena. That's the man. That's who he is. Anyways, I have the proud privilege of inviting our chief guest for today, former caretaker Prime Minister, His Excellency Anwarul Haq Kakar, to come and speak to you. I also had the privilege of doing an event with him at Davos when he He was a guest of the Pakistan Pavilion with the Chief Minister Balochistan, Jam Kamal Sahab. We had held an exclusive event for investment in Balochistan at the Pakistan Pavilion. That is the kind of work that Pathfinder Group does at Davos. And I'm also very grateful to Kakar Sahab for always saying yes and coming to my shows. Thank you, Kakar Sahab.
I won't go for the long introduction and naming people, but not mentioning Ikram Sehgal Saab would be a disservice to the whole idea of this community of World Economic Forum here in Pakistan. Sir, thank you. Thank you for having quite a long association with me. I was introduced to Sehgal Saab when I was the spokesperson of Balochistan government. And he happens to be there in Quetta. I recall there's a small annexee in the outskirts of Quetta. It's called Hanna Udak annexee. And we were having interaction with the Chief Minister, then Chief Minister. And from there we just clicked and we connected, and he ushered me not just to World Economic Forum, but he also inspired us to be the storyteller for Pakistan. What a wonderful storyteller we have in his person. And I realized when I first, Dr. Homa rightly recalled when we were there with the then Chief Minister Jam Kamal at Davos, that was my first experience and exposure to the forum. And it just stimulated me, and I remember that I was badly missing that global link with the parochial arrangement here in the country when I first was exposed to Davos. Ikram Sahab, not just encouraging the entrepreneurs here in this country and creating partnership at a national and global level, is also a person who's quite focused on opinion making. And he realizes that other than the material infrastructure, it is the mental infrastructure which is so important in any society. How do you create your mental edifice? How do you shape up your mental inclinations, your penchant, your preferences for cultural issues, for social issues, for economic issues, for political issues, and how does it impact the larger society? It's too important to be ignored. And he's the man who takes on that front and becomes someone who generates a national narrative. It's a very, very daunting and challenging task. And I've always taken inspiration from him, learned from him. And another inspiring man is Ambassador or President Masood, whom I've been honored that I've worked with him. Again, my introduction to him was when I was the spokesperson of Balochistan government and he visited Quetta. At that time, he was the president of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. And equally have served this country, have served the people of this country. Dr. Homa, it has been always honor to be on your show, and we will continue engaging with that. But today, when Ikram Sahab asked me to come and speak on this occasion, I was just thinking what to say. I'm someone who never believes in structured and framework of talks. I prefer to have an honest conversation rather than a clever one. Because in honest conversation, sometimes you reach to the right conclusion. In clever conversation, you just make things more elusive and at times even delusional. What I learned in this small stint of few months, what is the role of the government? One thing which is for sure and I'm quite certain about is that the government has no business to do business. laissez-faire argument I have bought, and I'm religiously advocating that on all the forums. Even if we take the Chinese so-called modernization phase, what they call Chinese modernization, and it is indeed. What they did was they crafted, they planned, when post-1979, they engaged with the global rules, either signing with WTO and the rest of the international institutions, having access to the Western markets, and encouraging the Chinese private sector through the state patronage. So it was the private sector who brought in this transformation, who brought the Chinese dragon to be the second largest economy of the world. It was not the Chinese government on its own. So what is the lesson for us? If we want to go for the economic growth, if that is the goalpost, can government run schools or hospitals or go for all these huge infrastructure and state-owned entities? Well, many governments have tried. From North Africa to Middle East, from Asia to South America, and most of them, if not all of them, have become weak states, have become the states whose service delivery indicators are quite poor. And the countries which has brought in this laissez-faire argument, and they have implemented that, their service delivery indicators are far, far better. I'm quite happy that I know we live in a very polarized and divisive environment. But I foresee, I'm inherently sanguine, I'm quite an optimist man. I think so we are in the cusp and we are having a transition, societal transition. The Western Hemisphere for last 5,000 years of its documented history, where it initiated its first glory with the introduction of the Caesar, the Rome has settled with individualistic society. But we are still here in the worship of our idols and our Caesars. And this societal transformation which has occurred over there, we are a bit slow. We are slow, but that is a natural flow. Until and unless these 8 billion people on this planet, they are not equally treated, as Faisal was mentioning, in the role of citizenry. Not equal in Rousseau's sense, equitable. Equitable in that sense that every individual, at least in terms of rights, is considered equal, and in terms of responsibility can be assigned whatever his capabilities or her capabilities are. And that transformation of the society, that egalitarian existence, either with the difference of culture, religion, race, language, it's quite a challenging task. It's quite a challenging task. Is it for me to fulfill that? Is it for PTI to fulfill that? Is it for PPP to fulfill that? PMLN or JUI? I think so we need to move way beyond that. Every one of us has to think of himself or herself as an important contributor who can inspire and play the role of leadership. And that leadership can be here in the kitchen of Marriott. That leadership, who's Gordon Ramsay? A chef, a global icon. How do we treat cooks and chefs with disparage attitude? What we need is to change this attitude. We cannot assign regality to the individuals or the professions. We have to assign regality to any human being who's born. The right of birth is regal. And that regality can be converted into a sort of a modus vivendi where you do agree on the basic rules of engagement, societal engagement. I'm not talking about politics at the moment. And Pakistan is such a beautiful country. I always think that what is our collective memory? Our collective memory, we are a blend of many millennia of historical experiences. When Alexander saw opportunity that he has to move towards east, as there was no culture, no city, no wealth, he could have easily from Macedonia gone around the Mediterranean and could have conquered or occupied any of the Western territories, but he didn't, because there was no incentive over there. The incentive was all there in Persia. The incentive was all there in East. Between Sir Darya and Amu Darya, the nomads of Turkic lands, and India, South Asia. So he headed towards this rich place. And he had it not just having a conquest, but leaving deep impressions. There are still Pashtun tribes in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa who trace their origin to the Alexander's advent. Sometime the Afridis claim this, sometime other tribes, and even the physical appearances of Pashtuns are even contributed to the Greek presence here in this region. Then it's Arabs, then the European colonizers, they came, all of them. What they did, I know it is not politically correct to rationalize colonization, but colonization has its own contributions too. Let's be honest about it. Pakistan and India was colonized, so we have a rail infrastructure, we have a road infrastructure. We all speak in English language. Many African colonies speak in French, some speak in Dutch. So they bring in culture, language, the material advancement, and then they have to leave. Any colonizer cannot be there for eternity, they cannot have a perpetual presence. But they leave behind what they bring in along with them. And the nations who are quite ingenuous, they, instead of having a negative emotional dwelling towards their colonizer, they just take advantage of that and they try to create a healthy relationship later on. That's probably what has happened in the case of Pakistan also. A combination of Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic, English, and all the local languages. It brings us poetry, it brings us prose, it brings us short stories, it brings us history. Unfortunately, it has not transformed us towards science. Here we were halted. If we would have translated this knowledge base for last, I'm talking about 600-700 years, particularly of the Arab expansionism towards Spain and the rest of the areas, it got halted there, and it triggered Reformation, it triggered and encouraged the House of Medici in Florence, of Italian Reformation and Renaissance, but it halted itself. And that stumbling block had an implication for the rest of the region too, of which we were part. That's where is the missing link. That's where the divide between this East and West has gone in a sharp contrast. And it is just a story of
couple of 100 years, 3, 4, 500 years, that's it. But we do have a sense which is quite entrenched in its past, in its identity. And what is that identity? It's not based just on faith. I think so it's so diversified. It is so versatile that it can pick and choose at any time and craft itself and shape itself and come up as a presenter, as a storyteller, and create a local audience, a regional audience, and a global audience. If Indians can claim that they should be part of OIC on the basis of a sizable Muslim population, why don't we take credit for Mahabharata and Sanskrit on the basis of our Hindu population? I hail from Balochistan, and Balochistan has one of the most important Hindu temple, Hinglaj Mata. Hinglaj Mata carries the value of Kaaba in Hindu mythology. But unfortunately, we don't explore ourselves. When it comes to the stupas of Buddhism, they lie over here. It's part of my identity. Yes, I'm a proud Muslim. I am not apologetic about that at all. It creates the larger Middle Eastern, North African fraternity for me. But I'm not radical. I apply the tool of religion to internalize it and grow spiritually, which helps me in the light of that ayah which says, from darkness to light. It hits my internal blind spots. I think so the biggest and the first and the earliest Democrat was God himself. When he narrates the story when Satan defies to bow on his new creation of Adam, he just does not condemn him. There's a due process. And he inquires from him that what made you choose this decision when you defied. So there's a conversation. There's a due process. And he gives arguments, whatever the arguments, the merit of the arguments are, but there is a whole process in that story, and I do seek that lessons from that. Pakistan, a country of 240 million people, as I even said it when I was at Davos, it is lying on the one hand with the 1.5 billion Chinese in our backyard. It's the Central Asia, North Caucasus, along with the Asia Minor, Turkey. ECO's country comprises of almost 500 million people. And then a close strategic GCC, which is sitting on the trillions of dollars of investment bonds. So this regional milieu, this environment, creates a lot of opportunities. All we need is to believe in ourselves. The only people whom I have seen who are despondent about Pakistan is a couple of Pakistanis. I've never ever seen anyone outside Pakistan who's not interested in the future of Pakistan and who is not optimist about the future of Pakistan. I had a chance to meet more or less all the global leadership in and around. And everyone takes keen interest. Everyone takes Pakistan quite seriously. When I was in Davos this time, I never had this idea that Mr. Schwab is arranging this event for the last 50 years. And I was clueless, I'll be completely honest, about this intervention of the IGWILs. And this one small experience of having 3 interventions at the IGWIL, thanks to you, if I was not introduced to World Economic Forum, probably I would have never had the chance, even being a head of the government, was the most important and precious takeaway home from my stint. And what was there, and as Faisal was mentioning, this year's theme is education. The IGWIL informal gathering of world economic leaders. I'm a person who has started from a very humble background. My father and grandfathers is neither a Doltana or a Bhutto or a Khan or a Fridis or Buktis or Murrays. I identify with a common Pakistani, I'm just Anwar. I lost my mother at a very early stage when I was 4. I was raised by my maternal aunt in a relatively quite constrained economic situation. We were not poor, but I could mildly put it that we were having quite challenges. The meal was available there. I could attend thanks to my late father, who used to support our education, me and my sister. But we were never privileged children who had access to anything and everything. I have struggled in my life. I struggled in my life. I know there are people who hate me and there are few people who like me. But I've been someone who has always had his own positions. You may call me maverick. You may call me objective, independence of mind, but it all depends on your personal inclination. But I have been what I am. I've taken positions in my life. I've always been opinionated. I've believed in my opinions. I've expressed my opinions. I've done advocacy for my opinions. I have never shied away from them. I've always internalized whatever I've believed in. I might have believed in wrong things. I might have believed in few things which, if mentors like Masood Saab or Ikram Saab would have been there, probably I would have changed. I'm quite open to that. But I'm a consistent person. And I value consistency, not rigidity. And there's a lot of difference between the two. So, why I'm sharing and bringing this personal story? The reason is individualism. The society is transforming towards individualism, whether we like it or we don't. The political cults, the religious cults, the cultural cults, it's going to decline. They might appear quite powerful at the time. They might appear invincible at the time. But it reminds me another beautiful ayat of Quran, Kullu man alayha fan. Everything has to perish. We come, we dwell, we perish. We are not eternal. That is one of the weakest link of human existence. Our entire attempt, struggle is to be God. We want to be eternal. We want to be perpetual. And that's where we fail. The natural answer to this challenge of human existence is individualism, who does not seek perpetuality, who enjoy, entertain, and contribute in the allotted time. We all are here with an allotted time slot. Anyone who got that sense and took the best out of that allotted time, in my humble opinion, is the successful individual, is the eternal individual, is the one who would leave deep impressions even way beyond. The people who have been remembered by the history, I feel that there is a commonality, that they have been very focused in their allocated time slot. They have not thought way beyond about the history, that how they would be remembered. It is us who judge them in the post events and even create stories and myths that's how they would view it. I don't think so any successful individual has the luxury of spending time on thinking that how he would look after 1,000 years or 2,000 years. It's in that allocated time that he takes advantages and disadvantages, whatever is available to him. Pakistan is a story of Indus. Pakistan has a beautiful geography. Pakistan has beautiful people, physically, mentally. It's a country where you hear the expressions from Baba Bulle Shah to Shah Latif to Rahman to Khushal Khan to Jam Durrak. I mean, whenever I start thinking about a situation or a problem, I'm fortunate that I am a bit, I won't say well-versed, but I'm quite exposed to Persian ghazal and poetry as well. So many answers I seek from these 4 and 5 poetic languages, which becomes and acquires the status of a mentor. They become advisors. They are quite suggestive. They take you out of very, very different and difficult situations. So how rich we are. Who says we're poor? Yes, the material part is not that advanced as it should have been. But the definition of poverty needs to be defined and redefined. It cannot just be associated with material advancement. This is just a one part of poverty. I'm not ignoring latafat be kasafat jalwa paida kar nahi sakti. So I'm not delinking the two. But there is another aspect of the poverty too. Pakistan, I was just hearing again Iqbal Sehgal Saab, and he was talking about the military and its existence and chief of the army staff. I think it's a very, very important theme in current environment. I was speaking to the War Course NDU last Monday, and these themes came up. So I feel it's very important that I reiterate whatever opinions I have, whatever I believe in, and why do I say so? There is a group in this country which feels that our gel, our nucleus, our the linkage which brings this federation and society together is a social contract and constitution. And it's widely accepted by intelligentsia, by political class, parties, and sometimes with strong democratic credentials, sometimes not that strong democratic credentials. Everyone more or less agrees on that. My opinion is that the social order is even more important and it's sacrosanct than the social contract. Why I say so? The skeleton of this body politic is the social order. If there is no skeleton, what would you flesh in? How would you bring the flesh? Yes, The aesthetic part, the ostensible part, the exhibitionist part is the social contract, is the constitution. But for that, a society has to exist in terms of order. And in order to have that skeleton, that social order, you need a guarantor. And that guarantor cannot be a social contract, because social contract is the, even if you borrow and try to learn the lesson from Magna Carta and post-Magna Carta, it gradually and slowly grows in a process. The idea of the sovereign, the monarch, and the king was there. And that sovereign was glue to the English society, to the order, for the knights, for the entire aristocratic arrangement of the English society. So in our case, that guarantor, by design or by default, has become Pakistan's military. And the strength of that institution relies on the nucleus of the office of the Chief of the Army Staff. He absolutely rightly identified, you might hate him, I would even go a bit further, or you may love him. That is your problem. You might have right or wrong implications for yourself, or your political career, or your social career, but the sacrosanct of the social order is so important that, according to few conservative historians, and you may not agree with that, but that is what their position is, that it is better to have few centuries of tyranny rather than few weeks of anarchy. So anarchy and chaos, they are an anathema. It is unacceptable. I was having a conversation with few learned people, and they were advocating, I'm not suggesting at all that we should ignore social contract, we should defy constitution. This is not what I am suggesting. What I am suggesting over here, that if you guarantee the social order, you evolve towards that social contract, that egalitarian society, that democracy. There are a lot of shortcomings even in the democratic governance system. Even the West has started examining it, criticizing it, and trying to find way out to make it further better. And that's how it is different than any dogmatic idea. Otherwise, we are quite okay with the religious dogmas. If it has to be stagnant, if it has to be treated as a finished product. So it is the death of creativity if we feel or say or advocate that democracy is the final authority of human thought process. Then we are all mentally dead. Let's, even if it is right, let's challenge it and learn that we are wrong. What is wrong with intellectually flirting with different ideas? We're not marrying them. Flirtation is allowed. So this social order is important, because what we see, the collapse of this social order, either it is in Syria or in Iraq or in other African weak states where they cannot hold the central authority, this chaos and anarchy, it is worse than anything. I was having a conversation on the lighter note. I told the gentleman, I wouldn't name him because he would be known to so many of you, that we are sitting in this cozy environment where the air condition is providing the balanced temperature to both of us. And you are mentioning about the civil unrest and anarchy and chaos, and just anticipating it is round the corner. I told him that, sir, do you realize that when it happened in Iraq, Yazidi women were sold for $50? The reality check would come if, God forbid, my wife or your wife is sold for $100. Then you would know what civil unrest is, or what anarchy is, or what chaos is. At that point, I would ask people that what are your choices of social contract or the rest of the governance system. It all is ensured when you have the skeleton, the social order, the political order. If it is challenged, if it faces, I'm not talking about the state's disintegration, I'm not talking about the social disintegration. What happened in Syria? Syria is still a state. They have a president. Afghanistan is a classical state, quite old. All the, my apologies to my Pashtun chauvinistic friends, carries a 5,000 years history and still carrying on as a state. What has happened? The society has become dysfunctional. What happened to Iraq? Iraq is still a state. There is no Kurdistan over there, no conspiracy theories. The American didn't create an Azad Kurdistan, which all our favorite conspiracy theorists would have believed. Nothing happened. But it's a dysfunctional society, functioning on the basis of sect, ethnicity, small little domains of their own, and which is bereft of any betterment of any central authority. But it's a debate that whether you should have governments or not in the future. We should talk about it, that's fine. But it should not apply exclusively to Pakistan. If the 8 billion population, human beings, they decide, oh, we can live without the government, there is no need to have a government. I'm quite okay with it. And there is a stateless and a governmentless global social order. Fine. If the humans being can transform and do their transition towards that, who the hell am I as an individual to stand in front of such a lofty goal? But if it has to exclusively be applied to Pakistan, then I do have a problem. I wish, I hope that we develop this ownership. Until and unless we do not own it, and to morph and do the transitional, bring the transitional democracy to a settled democracy. There are, in my opinion, two ways. One is the pathway of the French Revolution and the other is of the Glorious Revolution. We can choose. One was completely gory and violent, and the other was relatively non-violent. If I ever join a political party, I would be doing the advocacy for the non-violent one. Who's suggesting over here that in the civil-military relationship, military should lead, occupy, and dictate each and everything? No one is suggesting that. But it's a marriage in which you have to be a performer. You have to take the role not just through vandalism or agitation or protest. You have to assume that role through governance. Whether somebody likes it or not, it might not be popular on X platform or on Instagram or on Facebook. I may not have that kind of following. Why do I need a government in the first place? I contribute my taxes to have a government which can provide me security, which can facilitate economic activity, which can ensure the dignity of my property and ensure my rights. That's why I need a government. I can't do that, perform that role, so I want to have a government. And I assign that role to them, and then we have a social contract. And that social contract codifies that. That, okay, we'll abide by these rules, and we have written it. That's what it is. But initially we need to own this again I'm referring to social and political order. We have to agree. I've heard saying and arguing people that, oh, Pakistan has not given this to us, so how could you be a loyal citizen? On the one hand, you are talking about the social contract and constitution, whose Article 5 says that there has to be unconditional loyalty with the state. So then take out Article 5 from the constitution and bring in that, oh, you can have a conditional loyalty with the state. It is a prime requisite. You cannot flout, you cannot defy the loyalty part. It has to be there, it is given. I can't say that I would say hello to my dad because he provides me bread. If he doesn't, I'll stop talking to him. Or to my mom. If she provides, if I can take the parental analogy, everyone wants that the riyasat to hogi maa ke jaisi. So what do you do with maa? What sort of a status do you assign to mother? Mother is not just a gender. Nature has bestowed it on women gender, but it is more of a status. It's more of a role. It's more of an adjective. It commands respect. The utmost respect we feel comes from the image of mother. That's why we associate it with our land and we call it Madare Watan. We don't call it Padare Watan. It's emotional investment. And that investment with Hajj policy, it grows. You protect it. So there is no loss. Unfortunately, we again are facing this quite a unique challenge in our society at the moment, and it is not for one political party that I'm trying to target. It has happened with us in the past. Sometime from PMLN, sometime from PPP, sometime from PTI, sometime from JUI, or others. And this has to settle. This has to settle on some basic themes. And the theme is, this is not my phrase that I've coined it, the social order. It's quite a popular one, I'm just borrowing it from the global intelligentsia. That has to be sacrosanct. Pakistan has a great story. Pakistan has a great future. When it comes to its economy, when it comes to its youth, when it comes to its entrepreneurs, when it comes to its artists, when it comes to its writers. You have produced Saadat Hasan Manto. I mean, what a genius. You have produced Abdul Allah Maududi. What a contrast. It's an era which is producing Saadat Hasan Manto and Abdul Allah Maududi. Both the geniuses. You are producing Faiz and you are producing Iqbal. What a juxtaposition. What a diversification. So, if not everything, almost a lot is here. I wouldn't say everything is here, but a lot is here. So much is here. All we need is to value what we have, to show gratitude for what we have. If you don't have gratitude, in my opinion, you become depressed, you become sick. Every morning I wait for the person or in the evening who tells me that, oh, today was such a great day. I hardly hear this from people. They are dining in the finest of the restaurants, they are driving luxury cars, they are having the best of the best in their life, but I don't hear this, I don't listen this. And this, in my opinion, is our lack of expressing gratitude. I think I should suggest this, that we should utter these words as therapeutic as a medicine. Shukr alhamdulillah. Great. Very fine. It creates waves. It creates vibes. It turns around people who are dwelling somewhere in the deepest of darkness, and they bring them out. I have experienced it in my own life, that's why I'm suggesting and saying this. It's been long? I could see from her looks that if you could just cut it off and your sermon is more of becoming like Dr. Zakir Naik or rather than a former caretaker prime minister. Thank you, Sehgal Saab. Thank you, anyone and everyone. I really enjoyed being here. I've always admired and valued your leadership, your role of being a mentor, and your support towards me as a person, and largely to the society of Pakistan, to the country of Pakistan, you, your family, and everyone. Thank you all.
The conversation was both clever and an honest one, if I may say so, and also a lot of food for thought. Just a liner, and after that I have the privilege of inviting Mr. Ikram Sehgal to the podium. The world order is collapsing. And the world order is collapsing because one country has gone berserk and is being supported wrongfully by the powerful of the world. There are a lot of learnings there. With that, I have the honor to invite Mr. Ikram Sehgal, Chairman Pathfinder Group and Chief Patron of KCFR, to the stage. Sir, the man himself.
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Mr. Anwarullah Kakar, Farooq, sorry, Faisal Mushtaq, and Mama Bakai. You know, I got a lot more than I bargained for when I asked Mr. Kakar, because he's right. You know, when I first met him in Balochistan, at that point of time, I was a member of the CPNE, one of the vice presidents, and perhaps the only army officer still on the executive committee of the CPNE, or former army officer. And, you know, the Balochistan government at that time was a surprise to me and to everybody else. We didn't expect much, but what we got was, because of his interaction with us, was a lot more than we even thought possible. And that, you know, encouraged me, he's right, we remained friends thereafter, always. Encouraged me thereafter to, you know, say, tell your story in Davos. And of course, he encouraged Jam Kamal to come. And Jam Kamal did very well in Davos. And thereafter, you know, in his own right as caretaker prime minister, I requested him, he came. I would just like to, you know, add on to what he says in a different way. We are at the epicenter of 5 billion population of the total 8 billion population of the world. China, India, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, Middle East, most of Africa. And and let us say Central Asia. So 5 billion people live around us. Pakistan is right in the epicenter of it. So we have, to start with, the second largest copper and gold reserves in the world, the third largest coal reserves in the world, the fourth largest, if we add cotton and cotton textiles, the fourth largest cotton in the world, the fifth largest, and we've got somebody from Nestle here, the fifth largest milk producing country in the world, right? The sixth largest rice producing country in the world. We have developed the means, we have our own nuclear potential. Of course, it is country specific, and we have the means to deliver them. All this was one side, the other was the development. It's only possible because the talent in this country. And when my friend, late Mr. Arif Nizami, asked me to start writing for his new venture at that time, The Nation, English language, I said, what about? He said, just write something. You write, and I know you write, you should very well. And so he said, I've started this paper, I need you to write an article for me for 12 weeks. So I started writing, and an economic letter, because I was doing a lot of counter trade at that time. By the way, when I came out of the army, I thought letter of credit LC was a girl. That much I knew about business. So, but anyway, the point is that one of the few articles after I wrote was in 1989, and I just started writing in a regular way, was Leave the Army Alone. Leave the army alone. I learned that lesson. Because if you look at China, okay, great country, but there is a guarantor of that economy. But most importantly, look at Singapore. Guarantor, right? So, you have to sacrifice some freedoms for preserving the social order. And that I quite agree with you. And that's what I've been saying for 36 years. I believe in democracy. I believe in the rule of law. But I believe not the wording of the law. I believe in the spirit of the law. You can apply that law, and you can go and say comma here and apostrophe there and this thing, that thing, but I believe in the spirit of the law. Now, that is to say shukr alhamdulillah, we are here. I would like to say that been very lucky to have this Pakistan breakfast for 20 years now, and the Pakistan Pavilion, like Umar said, for about 8 years. And of course, I missed late Javed Akhai, who encouraged me to come to the Pakistan Pavilion, because we had this breakfast which was narrow. The thing, he said, let's expand this. And we went to a lot of people. We went to a lot of Pakistani businessmen, wanted to come in with us. Some said yes, some said no, some said partly. But they were not ready to put their money where their mouth is. They were just ready to spend it. They would spend that much money in a night rather than this thing. On the contrary, what encouraged me actually was the Indian businessmen. There were 180 of them at Davos, compared to 5 of us. And only one, to an extent, was contributing towards Pakistan. And I would say that Hussain Dawood always did something. But the rest of the businessmen, I'd like not to name them, but they did nothing for Pakistan. They were only there to spend 10 times that amount they would spend in Davos in one night, but they would do nothing for Pakistan. So there you have it. So we decided to keep it in the private sector, and we got, well, let's say, moral support from the government at times, and that was enough. And we will strive to get that support in the future, because it's very difficult to keep year after year. But the other part where, you must have seen the Asan mobile account is something which we are not projecting anymore ourselves in Pakistan. It is the World Economic Forum that has taken this many-to-many platform and projecting it in the world, right? And it's something that they get very surprised as to why you're not doing it in Pakistan, why it's not happening in Pakistan, right? The only thing but let me tell you, on the other hand, there's been a lot of change in the State Bank. A younger lot has come in, and they are now fighting for it. And we hope in the next few weeks and coming months, we will do that. Today, I'm proudly telling you the talent of Pakistan. The talent of Pakistan is such, the average age of the people who created this platform is 28. And what they have done is that they have taken a thing that you can open a bank account in less than 2 minutes on your telephone, and it does not have to be a smart telephone, it can be a feature phone. And you are connected through all the 5 telcos, any of the telcos, and with 16 banks at the moment and 35 banks, which already out of 35, 3 have got special permission to be connected to us. Out of which the average adult population, which has 80% did not have bank accounts till we started off, now 70% adult population does not have bank accounts. Out of the adult population, 18% women were having bank accounts. Today we have 38%. And we are into, believe me, we are into financial inclusion and women empowerment. The 4 pillars of the World Economic Forum: financial inclusion, women empowerment, health, education, and now they have started off the last one, which they've gone into, you said artificial intelligence and cybersecurity and all that. But we already do 2 of them, and our partnership with Faisal is going to take us into 3rd, the education part of it. And, let me tell you that I'm very proud of my son, and in a way, for many reasons, he has to stay there, because my granddaughter, whose health asked us to keep him there for some time. Faisal, excites me because of that, because he does things which are absolutely meant for Pakistan, to drive that education, but not drive that education. Education is not just books. Education is the world around you. And I yesterday, to give you an example, I'm sorry I digress a little bit. Yesterday I was at my alma mater, Lawrence College, Ghodagali. And in Ghodagali, when I was there, we were not much worried about education. If you got a first div, you were considered padta zyada hai. But we were more into, we had people in the cricket team, we had people in the national hockey team, we had people in the athletics team, we had people in basketball team, every team. We were there, except in one place. We used to become PMA, and we used to be in top in the PMA, sort of honors, the thing, etc. We used to go, about 10 of us used to go, and we used to top most of the battalion SUOs used to be from Lawrence College. But in one place we used to fail badly, in swimming, because there was no swimming pool. So yesterday I took the liberty of going and donating a swimming pool to Lawrence College. And yes, a heated one, and we made sure that it's the thing. Because in any case, the swimming pool will be only going to be used from April to October. The rest of the time, the weather, and the college stops from March, from December to March. In any case, the college is closed. But the point is that this is a very small thing. But you cannot imagine, when we did the ceremony yesterday, the excitement among the children there, the students there. Just cannot imagine. And they said, we used to dream about it. We used to dream about it. And I was nonplussed by the reaction. But the point is, we have to invest in our youth in an all-round way. And the other day, you know, at our home up in the hills, about 35 minutes from here in Ranguri, where I hope to have you one day come and this thing. You know, we did the launch of the auditorium, which can seat about 150 people. And Faisal Mushtaq's Future World College there, and Faisal, it was the launch of that auditorium. And I wish I could, I didn't think about it, I wish I could tell him the first national anthem that was played. And all the children, 120 of them, and the faculty and all sang that national anthem together. And I tell you, Pakistan, the future of Pakistan lies in our youth. The future of Pakistan lies in projecting our youth. We do not project our youth. That is what is required. And we must make sure that we have people that thing. So I can see, you know, the caretaker prime minister's person signaling as you have to go.
Probably the Chief Minister of Balochistan would also join.
Acha, please, if he likes to play that thing, of course, that would be a great honor. But, you know, the thing is that we have the resources. You know, when the Chief Minister comes in, I'll tell you something that he and, you know, Anwar al-Kakar and myself, we were working on, actually. And we had a BOT, a build, operate, transfer, you know. And obviously, we ran afoul of the bureaucracy completely, who could not understand how somebody would come and invest $8 billion on a 25-year basis, build, operate, transfer. So there was no loan, there was no this thing, it had no grant, it was just $8 billion for 25 years. And it would have solved a lot of socio-economic problems. Because, let me tell you, it was like, we thought about 3 or 4 cities along the coast. 3 or 4 cities along the coast, industrial estates north of the road, and the residential estates south of the road, and the big beaches that are there of Balochistan. And we thought about this houses being built up to be owned by the people of Balochistan. So they would get ownership. There was not a single house which would be sold to anybody else. All the houses there would be, but the houses that was basically we are thinking about almost 500,000 houses there, residential houses there, and they would all be for the people of Balochistan. That they be told that this is your house, 25 years you're going to get rent on it. After that you can come and live here in your town, but for 25 years you would get solid rent for it. The house is going to be yours from day one. You know, Chief Secretary said, please come on so and so day and tell us how this thing. And first of all, you have to go to Islamabad and get this, etc. And when I went to somebody in Islamabad, they said, of course, there's going to be a railway line there. So you got to go and convince that divisional superintendent of that railways that the railways needed. So I said, okay, keep it. What am I going to do? Running after a divisional superintendent of a railway, you know, how is he going to understand 8 billion rupees worth of BOT coming in to this country? Right? And similarly, nobody could understand in this thing. But I must say, the Sindh Investment Department did, when we went to that thing, and they invested in KCFR, and the Chief Minister of, the present Chief Minister, who was also the Chief Minister at that time, invested in this thing, KCFR, and KCFR, of course, started projecting Sindh investment. And we wanted to do that, and if the thing would have remained same for Balochistan also. What I'm trying to say is that there's much that can be done at Davos. And we require the help. And I'll just rephrase it, what Homer Bakai said about Khakan Abbasi. He was pointedly asked this question as to why does the government spend money and give money to for this vision. He said, "Oh, jo ho bhi raha hai, wo bhi nahi ho si." What is happening will not happen also. So, unfortunately, that is what the thing is. We need to minimize the role of bureaucracy, right? Similarly, the army cannot be in governance. People who are in governance and bureaucracy, who are very good people in the bureaucracy, it's not that they're terrific people in the bureaucracy, but they must be given a freer hand, right? They cannot have the sort of Damocles handing over them all the time. So, we say to you that please, the thing, I'm sure we're going to work out something with Faisal, so how we go ahead in Davos. I would like to have something, Faisal, I would say that publicly, that we'd like to have something that we had with Martin Dow going forward, so that we can develop this. Because leaving aside this thing, in two things you are front and center. Because I saw in the Future World Summit, most of your students were into IT. They were into cybersecurity, they were into artificial intelligence. And therefore, that is one part, and the other was education by itself, right? And we want to integrate health into it in a different way, but I'll explain that later. But things really can be done in the private sector. I am very grateful to my company staff. They've been very, very forthcoming. Faisal talked about Prudential. Let me tell you what a great thing, because it started with the Book Foundation, and the children started donating their blazers and their jerseys, right? So now we've got books which we are getting from them, separating them, textbooks to the poor children, making libraries for them in certain schools. But now we are taking the blazers and the jerseys to the children in the mountains, giving it to them already, right? And that's not all. And we've got now, there's a startup which is being funded by outside, which they want to experiment here. We've got diabetic centers which they want to open up free of cost. We're doing it already in 24 of our locations, and we're going to discuss this, how we can do that, because again, diabetes is a big problem in Pakistan. So if we can integrate that all together, I think we can do a lot. I will just end by saying that, one of the problems that I had growing up was that my mother was from Bangladesh, now Bangladesh, East Pakistan. My father was Sialkot, and it's not very difficult. It was not very easy, that thing. When we used to go to then East Pakistan, we became Punjabis, my sister and I. And when we came to West Pakistan, we became Bengalis. So we were, the thing, etc. But luckily, we had very good parents. So my sister and I, unfortunately, died at the age of 28 and buried. She married in Bangladesh, East Pakistan. She's buried in Dhaka. And we were two of us. But, we maintained those things. We maintained this thing, and I learned my early lesson of separation of guarantor and democracy there. It was the unit that my father raised in 1949 that ultimately came to rule Bangladesh for some time. Ziaur Rahman was his adjutant. General Shah was his adjutant. And the other one became Chief of Army Staff. The 5 chiefs of Army Staff that he was the commanding officer. I was commissioned into the same regiment, right? My complete that thing was, that regiment. I grew up, from the age of 3, I grew up in that regiment. But I saw them when they started ruling Bangladesh. Of course, by that time, the country had separated. But when I used to go there, I used to be treated as, and those things. I see them governing and how they were separating their governance. They said, we're not capable of running power stations or running banks or running this thing. We are only capable of running the people who run them, right? Or rather overseeing the people who run them so that they don't go bad. I think one has to come to live with that when you're growing up. The China today is a perfect example of that. Russia did not follow that example. That's why the Soviet Union felt was. Soviet Union put glasnost in front of perestroika. China put perestroika in front of glasnost. That was the difference. Now Russia is going back to perestroika. So my point is that, all the things which are happening, we have to take into account that we are at the center of it all. And let me tell you, who recognized this except the Pakistan Foreign Office? The World Economic Forum has made us a part of Eurasia. They say that we are the Eurasian corridor. They say that we are the Eurasian corridor because we talk about CPEC and forget that we are that CPEC. It's not CPEC. It's the north-south corridor. It's the corridor that takes us north-south into Russia through the Central Asian states. It's the north-south corridor that is the old RCD highway which takes us into Europe. It's another highway which goes across from Gwadar into Oman and Saudi Arabia and into Africa, right? So we are the center of it all. I've taken your time. I'm very grateful to you for coming here and to be part of this thing. Omar has been talking about roadshow. This is the start of what we think can be further expanded, and we think we can act as a model there. And I'm very grateful to you, sir, for coming. Faisal, again, let me tell you that, when I look at you, I see hope in Pakistan. People like you, committed, brilliant, and, let us say persistent, that makes hope. I know when you were opening up and part of that when you opened up this MITE in Karachi, and, Omar came on board with you, and, today, it's the place to be in 3 years. It's not a joke. In 3 years, right? And many other, there will be many other campuses.
In that case, you are the guarantor of that democracy.
Right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Farad Saab. I'm very grateful to you, a long-term partner, advisor, always gives to me. Thank you, Ambassador Masood, to be there. We've had you in the KCFR many times. And the Maldives Ambassador Excellency, it's an honor having you here. And we've had people from the Philippines, from Russia, and other places. I think we have a wide variety of people that are here. Thank you for coming, and thank you for everything. Thank you.